Congressman Jim Banks, hopefully in your mind, Senator Jim Banks soon. You've been at this now for almost 2 years. Hard to believe.
It really is. I got into the race almost 2 years ago. Mike Braun approached me in the Capitol building and he told me he was running for governor, opening up the Senate seat. My wife Amanda and I and our family went through the process of deciding whether to run for the Senate, to give up the congressional district, the seat that I've held since 2016, which is by all accounts a safe Republican seat, and risk that to run for the Senate. And we just felt strongly at the time that being in the United States Senate it's a really big opportunity to do more for our state and our country. Felt called to run for it. So it's been almost a 2-year campaign. It comes to an end tomorrow night on election night, but it's been fun to travel the state. We've represented this corner of the state, but to get all over the state and meet with Hoosiers and talk about the big issues of the day, it's been an honor. It's been a lot of fun. But I'm looking forward to it being over with on election night and then moving on to the next step.
What is your closing message? What do you want people to hear?
Well, I think it's simple. Most Hoosiers I talk to know that they're not better off after 4 years of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden than what they were when Donald Trump was in the White House. The policies that we fought for to put America first, securing the border, getting the economy growing, creating good-paying jobs for the next generation, a lot of that has come to a halt in the Biden-Harris years. So in the United States Senate, that's my mission: secure the border, stop allowing drugs to flow into this country. Fentanyl is the leading cause of death of Americans of working age, and it's all coming across the southern border. Hold China accountable for what they've done to steal our jobs. And by the way, fentanyl is made in China. It's sent to the southern border, and Mexican drug cartels push it into our country and kill our people. So hold those people accountable for that. Who have done that to our country, and then address inflation. I mean, everyone I talk to talks about how much more they spend at the grocery store, how much more it costs to fill up the gas tank than what it was before. Those are simple solutions to bring down inflation, to bring down the cost of living, and it has to do with government spending and getting rid of wasteful spending and regulations from the federal government that raised the cost of everything. And it's really simple to go back to the policies that worked under Trump to get people back to a place where they can make ends meet.
Talk more about those policies in a second. I want to finish, though, on the campaign. There had to be some great moments. I want to know what was going through your mind sitting there at the convention in the box with the former president.
Well, I had the honor of speaking at the Republican convention, which was a total surprise. I was invited to do it about a week before the convention in Milwaukee. Of course, the assassination attempt happened just a couple of days before the convention started, so there was a lot of history going into it. I gave my speech on the floor. It was not a very long speech, just a few minutes. But shortly after that, I was invited to sit with President Trump and my friend J.D. Vance, who just the day before Donald Trump picked to be his running mate, to sit up in the box and watch the evening speeches and be a part of that. It was a surreal moment. I mean, I grew up in a trailer park in Columbia City. I'm the son of a factory worker. My mom was a nursing home cook. And it's just, when I have experiences like that, I think back to where I came from, and I'm reminded of how blessed, how fortunate I am, the opportunities that I've had, because Northeast Indiana gave me this opportunity to serve them in Congress. So I don't take it for granted, but it was really a surreal moment.
Do you get texts from people that you haven't seen in ages? Like, because you're not obviously on national television at that moment.
Yeah, I did. I mean, my phone was, I was trying not to. I'm up in the box with President Trump and sitting next to JD, and I see my phone buzzing, and I know that people, at that point, I didn't know if you could see me on TV or not, but I was getting a lot of texts and tried to respond to all of them later that night without looking at it during the speech.
Immigration, obviously a key policy that I think both sides will talk about differently. Why do you think that is a winning issue for Republicans?
I just think it's important for our country, and even Kamala Harris is differing from Joe Biden and Democrats. She sort of flip-flopped on this issue, and now all of a sudden she's in favor of building the wall. She was against building the wall before, but this is a key piece of what Donald Trump and Republicans in the House and the Senate are going to tackle in January at the very beginning of the new Congress and the new administration, to go back to Trump policies like the Remain in Mexico policy, which was a deterrent to those who came into our country illegally. The building the wall is important to the Border Patrol agents because it makes them easier to stop the crime and drugs that come over the southern border. And then getting rid of the catch and release policy, which means if you come into America and you're apprehended, then you're given a court date and released into the U.S. instead of being sent back to the other side of the border. So those are common sense border policies that President Trump is focused on with signing into law by executive order, because Biden undid them by executive order. And then Congress needs to back him up. This is what didn't happen when Donald Trump was elected in 2016. He had Republican leaders in the House and the Senate who didn't back him up on the border policies. It's time for Congress to do its job and pass these bills to make them law permanently, and that will control the border.
The other side's issue for them, they've said that women's reproductive rights and abortion seems to be a winning issue for them. Is the pro-life movement still on the winning side politically?
Well, I'm a ardently pro-life congressman. I'll never back away from those positions. I'm proud that Indiana was the first state that passed a pro-life law after the Dobbs decision struck down Roe v. Wade, and I fully support that state law. Democrats seem to be overly obsessed with this issue. I mean, it's like in some of the races, like the governor's race, Jennifer McCormick, the only thing that she talks about is abortion. I mean, I want to know what these candidates are going to do for our state, but it seems like Democrats are fully focused on abortion, and they have the radical position supporting abortion all the way up to the moment of birth, at that point that a baby takes its first breath. Even Republicans in Congress have passed, in the House, we passed the Born Alive Act, which saves babies who are born after a botched abortion, and Democrats voted against it. So they have the radical position on it. I believe Republicans have the common sense position that's more in line with America, especially Hoosier voters, who I know are pro-life and understand this issue very well. So I don't think so. I don't think this is a winning issue for Democrats, and most Americans are, again, go back to the cost of living, the cost of groceries. Everywhere that I go, that's what the voters want to talk to me about. They don't want to talk about abortion and some of those issues because they know Republicans are right on it.
Are you disappointed at all? President Trump seems to have backed away from his pro-life words earlier, I guess. He's sort of moderated.
President Trump is the most pro-life president that we've ever had. He appointed 3 pro-life justices to the Supreme Court and pro-life judges all across the federal judiciary. So he deserves credit for striking down Roe v. Wade, for the Dobbs decision that empowers the states like Indiana to make these decisions on their own. So I know President Trump to be a pro-life president. His views are, I think, right in line with where most of America is, recognizing that it's important that the states like Indiana have a voice in the matter.
You, I think, pride yourself as a debater. You did this in high school, yet you didn't debate in this race. Why not?
I wanted to. In fact, I made it very clear that I wanted to debate my Democrat opponent. There was only one debate invitation. It was with the Indiana Debate Commission, which was led by, in my opinion, biased moderator, biased people that are involved in that. Each of the debates that I did, all 4 of my House elections, were hosted by you, hosted by local media outlets, and that would have been my preference, that media outlets, unbiased moderators would take charge. The Indiana Debate Commission in the primary held a really embarrassing debate in the gubernatorial election, and I just didn't feel like I didn't feel like I would get a fair debate in that situation. A left-wing college professor in Indianapolis moderating the debate. We put the word out to media outlets all over the state that we would be open to debating, and didn't get an invitation. I think probably because there's not as much interest in the Senate race. Most people, if you leave and go out on the street, most people have no idea who I'm running against. I've been campaigning hard, hundreds of events all over the state for a couple of years, making my case to Hoosiers. So I feel good about what's going to happen on election night tomorrow night. I'm not taking it for granted, but I think at the end of the day, the voters are going to choose who the senator is going to be, not left-wing moderators of debates, the Indiana Debate Commission, which I think should be done away with and replaced with something different.
Your Democratic opponent earlier today told me that she would have, if you were there, have asked you to explain your support for Project 2025.
Yeah.
I've never heard you speak of that.
I haven't. I've never met my opponent. She seems like a very nice lady. I don't know much of anything about her. I don't think most people do.
Have you read it?
No,
Project 25?
I
2025?
haven't. I wasn't a part of it. I haven't read it. I'm sure there are some good ideas. I'm sure there are some bad ideas. I'm sure there are ideas that are worthy of debate, but I have no idea what's in it. I'm not a part of it. But she's made that one of her key attacks against me as dishonest. It's disappointing, but again, I'm not concerned. She hasn't been a serious candidate, so it's easy for me to ignore her.
The other allegation she made was that you would just rubber stamp the MAGA agenda.
I don't know what that means. I mean, I have an 8-year track record of putting America first, of fighting for conservative values in the House of Representatives, and at the end of the day, that the voters know that I have a record. They can study my record, and they know what I stand for. It's been a consistent record for a fiscal conservative policies of cutting wasteful spending, of securing the border, being pro-military, supporting rebuilding our military, taking on China, putting American workers first. My record speaks for itself.
Anything you'd want to add here the night before the election?
This is an incredible opportunity to serve my whole state. I love Indiana. I love it even more after campaigning and traveling the state for 2 years. I don't take it lightly. I mean, I was thinking the other day, when I was in high school, you talked about being a high school debater in Columbia City. Senator Lugar came and spoke to all of the high school students at Columbia City High School. This is in the 90s when I was a high school student. And I met him. I told him I was a high school debater. He signed something for me. I still have it. And to think that now, tomorrow night, I might have the opportunity to serve in the same Senate seat that Richard Lugar and a lot of other senators from our great state have had the opportunity to serve in. It's overwhelming. I mean, I never thought in my life that I could do something like that, coming from where I come from. But this is a great country. This is a great state. I love Northeast Indiana, the opportunities that Northeast Indiana has given me, and I'll never take it lightly.
Congressman Jim Banks, thank you for your time.
Thank you.